David Bolter describes our current generation of print, a visual one rather than linguistic, in his chapter, The Breakout of the Visual. Many items we see every day contain visuals, such as in photos, films, television, and the computer. Bolter asserts that in our digital age, visual media has become incorporated into print, and a reorganization of the ratio of text to picture in items such as books, magazines, newspapers, and billboards has occurred. Gay reports signs have arguably become the dominant form of phenomenal urban space. This increase in advertising has been responsible for the transformation of cities that are now full of text and images. Billboards have helped transform cities to a place of outdoor images, and their history, including how they have shaped communication and their relevance in its form today, is my selected topic. In 1450, Johann Gutenberg invented movable type printing, which gave rise to advertising in the form of the handbill. The handbill is a small printed advertisement distributed by hand. Fast forward to the late 17th century when lithography was established. Lithography is printing from a stone or metal plate with a smooth surface treated to repel ink onto specific paper or another suitable material. The Egyptians first used signs as means of communication, as they carved rules on stone obelisks to publicize the laws of the land or treaties outside for citizens to read. Lithography spawned the development of an illustrated poster, which then allowed it to be mass-produced, giving way to large-format posters, otherwise known as billboards. In the 1830s, billboards were first seen along roadsides to inform travelers of goods or attractions that were available ahead. Billboards were either painted on signs or posters that needed to be glued onto fences or walls. In 1835, Jared Bell designed large-format posters for New York City to advertise the circus coming to town. The only problem was this type of design could not withstand the prolonged impact of weather conditions and often faded over time. The poem that I'm about to read highlights the time period when billboards were first in place, at a time when it took hours to glue and paste them up, and circuses were among the first groups to use them. Billboard by David Eddard. The billboard is just plain shabby. A village disgrace is what it is. But as I stare at it today, from the weeds across the street, a workman in bib overalls finally gets a new bill in place. Hooray! A circus is coming here to Sunflower County. We'll be there, I say to Prince, who lifts his head and barks sharply. Then we run home together, so anxious to spread the news to the other neighborhood dogs, Lucas, Lion, Lobo, and Max. The billboard looking shabby shows how over time its effectiveness can fade and weather takes its toll on the materials used. This poem also shows reference to the circus being one of the first companies to use the billboard. It also highlights that the billboard was seen as a means for communication, as the boy was filled with excitement, being one of the first to witness its completion and ready to share the news. Billboards had an impact on society and industrialization. Gay claims American capitalism drove the production of signs for the purpose of advertising consumer goods and things. Ebby observes this desire for a want of a consumer good or superior class position is socially influenced, even though it seems like it comes from the individual. Perceiving the world as a capitalism of things leading to a consumption of signs stresses advertisements' impact on communication. This has shaped society's thinking, as wealth and clothing now have become certain status symbols. Ads continue to influence society, as billboards have allowed organizations to publicize their beliefs or political foundations. Billboards went through some transformations in the mid-1860s as businesses were able to purchase space from outdoor advertising companies to showcase their brand to the public. Billboards were able to highlight images alongside minimal text, allowing their brand to be perceived predominantly from the image displayed. A prime example of this was Coca-Cola's Christmas billboard campaign that featured the present-day interpretation of Santa Claus that we know today. Billboards continued to evolve as by the year 1870, almost 300 small paintings or bill paintings were in operation, and later on in 1881, the International Bill Posters Association of the U.S. and Canada was founded in Chicago. Over the turn of the 20th century, different forms of mobility increased, such as on the road, railway, and in the air, creating more opportunities for billboards to display their message. When Henry Ford's Model T became affordable for working-class people, the number of people using private transportation increased, which supported a larger mobile environment advertisers could tap into. As the standard billboard structure became more common, major companies started to believe the same billboard ad could be used coast to coast. Billboards relayed some important messages in regards to communication. In 1913, an education committee was formed to help encourage advertising members to donate to public service campaigns so that public service messages could be used to fill any open boards. For example, during times of war, billboards encouraged war efforts, and conversely, during peace times, ads were rolled out that promoted the improvement of society. Advertising influences perception, as it was eventually passed that in the U.S., billboards were prohibited to advertise tobacco. Government also shaped social structures, as in the U.S., Congress passed legislation for states to voluntarily control signs on interstate highways by offering bonus incentives. Billboards have seen improvements in their size and types of materials used, along with upgrades in technology to create digital billboards that are longer lasting. Improvements in the lighting industry have helped billboards become more viable 24 hours a day so they can be viewed at night and in more striking and effective ways. In a day and age where people often commute or drive to work, billboards still exist because a captive audience is still available to be reached. Billboards can be seen as distractions with their bright colors or images when passing them on roads or viewing them on the side of buses or on walls in front of metro stations, creating a universe full of ad clutter. In some of the current-day billboards, the trait of ekphrasis is shown. As we have seen in digital media and even in print, we get a reverse ekphrasis in which images are given the task of explaining words, as Bolter relays in his book, Writing Space. This allows advertisers to use the pictures to explain and describe the desired effect or material good for their audience. This is known as visual literacy, which is what is seen with the eye and what is seen with the mind. The viewer needs to use their background knowledge to formulate their understanding of the image and reflect to derive meaning, leaving some room for interpretation, helping them lay the foundation for constructing their knowledge of this form of communication. The transformation of this way of communication has been significant in shaping our society, as visual literacy has become just as important as knowing how to read. Television and the internet differ from signs and billboards in a few ways. First, the viewer has control by fast-forwarding ads on TV or closing the browser window on their computer when ads pop up. Signs and billboards are temporary structures and stand direct for your eyes to pass over, even if it's only for a short few seconds. Second, billboards have evolved to exist on buses, buildings, SkyTrains, and perhaps other new platforms in the future. The future of the billboard industry is strong, as with transportation existing the way it does, improvements in other means of advertising has still allowed the billboard to remain prominent in our society.